telling all of you, and we've told the American people, border, border, border. We have to effect real policy change at the border, and that is a necessary condition to anything we do going forward. We have to take care of our border first. That's what the American people demands.
Every state in America is now a border state.
Border, border, border. How can we be engaged in securing the border of foreign countries if we can't secure our own? We know the urgency in Ukraine. We're going to stand for freedom and make sure that Vladimir Putin doesn't march through Europe. It's past time to secure the border.
Listen, this is a catastrophe down here.
The battle is for the border.
President Biden wants a supplemental spending bill. It better begin by defending America's national security.
Okay, these are dangerous people who are coming into the country. Over 300 known terrorists.
How can we be engaged in securing the border of foreign countries if we can't secure our own?
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Your Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Mike Johnson. I don't know, but it sounded to me like our border is a pretty important thing.
Yeah, I do believe that the American people's number one priority is the border.
It was up until about 3 days ago.
I guess he doesn't think so. We got this mosh up from Donald Trump Jr. We want to hat tip him. And on his X, he said this, "Enough already. If you ever even begin to start believing anything anyone in Republican leadership tells you, just watch this. Pay close attention to those that don't seem bothered by this. They're not your friends."
Amen to that. And
Amen.
if you and I love the clown music because he's a clown, man. He's a damn clown. And
yes,
every one of them in there is a clown right along with him. You know, I'm sick of all of them, man. At least the 8 or the 19 stood up and have fought. You know what? I'm not hearing a lot out of them, so I'm kind of throwing them in that group right now, right along with him, man.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting a little tired of this.
Yeah.
But is this thing working?
Welcome to the show, everyone. I think that's a pertinent question this morning. I bet it can be answered pretty quick. But welcome to the show. And hey, before we start our show today, I guess the most important thing we want to keep continuing to say is these are our opinions and these are our assertions. These are the ways we see it. If you agree with us, awesome. Tell your friends and share our show with them. Tell them, hey, man, you're not alone. You're not the only one thinking this way. We're all beginning to see it. We're all beginning to think this way. So please talk to your friends about it. Share our show with them. Tell them about us. Stomp that like button. Follow us. Subscribe wherever you see the name Is This Thing Working. You help me and Denise, and you help us to further our mission in this. And also, check out our website. We've got a website up now. The address is www.is-this-thing-working.com. That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
It's easier when you see it written down, so just go to it.
Click on the link. You know, I did this website on purpose because I want people to know this is is-this-thing-working.com because you're going to remember that. You're going to remember our website. So that's what we want you to do. And you can see here we have the podcast at the top. And when you scroll down, you can share it with your friends on your favorite platform. Also, the further you scroll down, you will also see the last 5 Rumble videos that we have made. We usually try to keep the week previous up there so you can go to our website and leave a comment and subscribe, please, for anytime you want to get a notification about Is This Thing Working. All we have to do is send you an email. So please subscribe, and that would be awesome. That way you can know everything that's going on with us. Also, please support our sponsors on the site. They are why we keep the show free for you. And you are helping us grow, and we thank you so much. We put you in the room every single day and teach you how to be informed and become engaged. But we have a huge show for you today, so we need to get started on this right away. And we're going to start with what happened yesterday in the Senate with Secretary Mayorkas. He still has his job. And I would like to ask why.
That's a good question.
But if you can remember, the House impeached Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas in February, and on Tuesday formally referred the issue to the Senate for a trial.
Yeah, and the articles of impeachment that the House brought to the Senate, Democrats voted to rule both impeachment articles unconstitutional because they did not rise to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors, and then they adjourned the trial. The first impeachment article had accused Mayorkas of willfully and systemically refusing to comply with federal immigration laws. The second article charged him with making false statements to Congress, including that the border is secure.
We all know that our border is not secure.
Yeah, and that was where I was fixing to take this, was look at the absurdity of all this shit. We have sat here for 3 years watching our border stay wide open, watching absolutely zero effort be made by our federal government to close that border. We have actually sat here and watched their only effort in this, from a legal standpoint, is to fight Governor Abbott of Texas
Every single day.
every single day. That's all we've seen out of this. This is why, to me, this shit is so absurd. The first article of impeachment says that they accuse Mayorkas of willfully and systemically refusing to comply with federal immigration laws. Is that true or is that false? What do you think, Denise? Is that true or is that false?
He did willfully and systematically refuse to comply with federal immigration laws. He broke every law that's on the books. They didn't change the laws to do what they're doing. Did Congress come out and I kind of remember them striking down a bill already about the border and everything that they wanted to do. Congress has not passed a bill to keep our border wide open. So everything Mayorkas has done is willfully and systematically refused to comply with the laws.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me ask you this. And using just that definition alone, they said that these accusations don't rise to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors. Let me ask you something. If a policeman is standing there and he tells me, Mr. Mayo, you're not allowed to steal that out of the store and walk out of here without paying for it. And I look at him and go, okay, Mr. Policeman, guess what? I'm going to walk over and steal that and walk out of here. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to do what you've asked me to do. There again, if you get pulled over by a policeman and he tells you, stay in your car, and the first thing you do is open the door, push the door up, and jump out, you're refusing to comply with the law. Are you not?
Yes.
I mean, God dog, man. So by him and the Biden administration knowing you're supposed to keep the border closed. And when Greg Abbott comes at you with the law, and he comes at you with the law in our U.S. Constitution that says you're supposed to protect the border, and he comes at you with the Texas Constitution that says Texas is supposed to protect the border, and he tries to protect the border, and you take him to court, that shows me you're willfully refusing to comply with the law.
Yes.
I mean,
and the other things that he's done, he's misled Congress and the American people. He's emboldened and enriched criminal cartels. He's caused untold suffering for American families and migrants. Cost state and cities billions of dollars. Now, this is really important. He has really just told states, F you.
Yeah.
And done whatever he wanted.
Exactly.
And that's not what happens in America.
Yeah. And I think each one of these charges that we're talking about, Secretary Mayorkas has, like we said, he's refused to comply. Like you said, he's emboldened and enriched the criminal cartels and the human smuggling. He has definitely misled Congress and the American people, because the second article of impeachment says that he lied to them. He lied to them. The moment he said the border is secure, he lied.
That's a lie.
Wow.
The border is not secure.
Nope.
And we've had plenty of people on that terrorist watch list come across our border, more than can even be, looked at, because they can't find them all. The cartels are helping them get across that border.
Well, yeah, and so that's my only take on it, and that's everybody else's only take on it. The only reason, and I wish they'd just come on out and say it, the only reason they don't want to close the border, sure, it's for demographics, to change an electoral district. Sure, it's for Biden to buy votes. Sure, it's all of that. But I think, and I know, the biggest reason that they won't close the border is because they're so embedded with the cartel and the money that they receive from facilitating human smuggling. This is nothing but a big, giant human smuggling operation coming straight out of D.C. I would almost say that's the kingpin of the human smuggling that's going on in the world today. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I don't think you're wrong at all. And we will talk more about the human smuggling later on in the show. So stay tuned. But we're going to go over here and talk about the House. And the House GOP releases the Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan aid bill after months of delay. But why it matters, the spending levels are roughly in line with the $95 billion foreign aid bill the Senate passed in a broad bipartisan vote in February. This is from Axios, I'm reading. And it says the measures met with quick repudiation from House Speaker Mike Johnson, his right flank, which is MTG and, many others, which will create obstacles to passing them. Johnson is almost certain to need Democratic help to get all three bills to the House floor and pass them, but they continue to say everything is bipartisan. I can't get this, bipartisan stuff, but they need the Democratic help. That's not bipartisan. Do you think that's bipartisan? If they need Democratic help?
Well, that's exactly what bipartisan means, is that all of them work together, both sides work together. That's the way he's trying to justify this, is he's putting out this bill that is truly not good for us, but it's truly in favor of what the Democrats want, and they've got a few Republicans to go along with it. Bam, it shows bipartisanship. You see what I mean? Regardless of whether a third or a half of the Republican Party voted against it, if you get those few over there and then the whole other party votes, they call that bipartisanship.
Well, I don't.
I don't either.
I don't think of that as bipartisanship.
I don't
at
either.
all. I think of that as a Democrat bill. Don't you?
Yep, me
so
too.
that's what we think of this Democrat bill. I'm going to call it that. It's a Democrat bill. It's nothing to do with what the GOP wants. But the three bills, they're going to put three bills together. I believe they're trying to vote on this rule today. The three bills, including roughly $26 billion for Israel, $61 billion for Ukraine, and $8.12 billion for Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific. The Ukraine bill aid includes a number of caveats designed to placate GOP hardliners, including oversight measures to ensure the funds are spent correctly and a requirement that Ukraine enter into a loan agreement to repay economic assistance funds.
That sounds real good, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Sounds real good.
Real good. I'm telling you, a loan. They're actually going to enter into a loan agreement to repay economic assistance funds. What do you think is said in that? I mean, look, we have an article here from Gateway Pundit who tells us total surrender. Johnson's Ukraine aid package allows Biden to forgive 50% of loans on November 15th and 100% later.
Don't you wish you could enter into a loan agreement with a bank and then agree to to forgive 50% of it within 6 months?
Yeah, well, it doesn't say on here how much they're going to pay.
Yeah.
When does the terms come back? Oh, it says right here, after President Trump wins the 2024 election as expected, because I believe that every bill that they put through right now has to do with when President Trump gets elected. Mm-hmm. They're preparing everything for President Trump to be elected. It seems weird to me. But anyway, after he is elected as expected, Joe Biden can cancel 50% of Ukraine's debt before his term is over in January. And if Biden and the Democrats pull off another stolen election, they can forgive 100% of Ukraine's debt a little over 1 year later. I got this out of the Gateway Pundit, so I'm just going to hat tip them for their information. They work hard. And
talking about this, you started at the beginning of this segment, why it matters that this aid bill of $95 billion is coming up to vote on. Why is it important? Because look at the pickle they're going to put President Trump in once he wins. President Trump brought out the idea of a loan program to Ukraine. Hey, if you want the money, we'll loan it to you. Was part of that also that on November 15th, we're going to forgive 50% of the money we've given you, and then we can forgive 100% later on? Is that a loan? No. That's just another way to throw more money at them. Okay.
Yeah, and just say that, hey, we're giving them a loan.
Yeah, and the pickle that I'm talking about they're putting President Trump in when he wins is, and I know that we don't want to send another damn dime to Ukraine. What we want, America first, MAGA people want, we want our border closed. I don't know. That's the only demand that I really see that we've got that we need to get accomplished right now. That's the most important. But look at the pickle they put him in with this.
Yes, because the president may not before November 15th, 2024, take any action related to the indebtedness of the government of Ukraine that cancels any indebtedness incurred by Ukraine pursuant to this section.
Okay. Biden will go ahead and forgive them the 50% on November 15th. Guaranteed, hands down. Come January 1st, 2025, and I know President Trump don't want to send another damn dime to Ukraine. But you've got this option out here, this caveat, like you talked about, of forgiving 100% of it after that. All this is going to be is a damn tool and a vehicle for the Democrat Party to fight President Trump the entire 4 years and never get nothing accomplished. That's what this is all about. Another stall measure that they're trying to put in place. Like you said earlier, all the things they're trying to pass now, they're playing long game chess with it.
Yes, they are to stop President Trump.
And it's going to help Biden on the one side, and it's going to hurt Trump on the other regardless.
Regardless, it's going to do all of it. And so with all of this fixing to come out, and, they brought out this bill yesterday, so people are reading it. You're going to find all kinds of stuff coming out now that's in it. All these caveats that they put in there to protect themselves.
Exactly.
And they're going to pass it 100%. I do not believe it. I do not believe anybody out there is going to change Speaker Johnson's mind, which is why the next subject I'm going to talk about is, I'm going to ask this question, do you think that the Speaker of the House should be vacated?
Do I? Yeah. Is the timing wrong? Probably.
Yeah, this is a big debate that's going on right now. I have an article from Axios right here, and it says Mike Johnson's speakership is on the verge of becoming another casualty of bitter division within the Republican Party. It's very, very, very much true right here. He is on the verge because the Republican Party has listened to him since he's been speaker, 9 months now?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how important our border is. And not one piece of legislation for the border is in this horrible bill that they're fixing to pass.
Wow.
So, but why it matters, they always say, Axios does. If Johnston is ousted or resigns anytime soon, it will add to the recent trend of GOP speakerships being cut short by hard right revolts. Like we said on Tuesday, Representative Thomas Massey and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, they are in an effort to oust Johnson through a motion to vacate over plans to bring foreign aid bills to the floor. So, this is really important to watch. We're going to just keep an eye on it. But I'm going to say my opinion here, or expressly my own. I think it's the wrong time for the simple reason. Vacating him might give you something to go home and talk about, sure. But it doesn't matter one way or another if he's there or not, because they're going to vote Democrat no matter what. So it could either be a Democrat or not. Right now we need to keep the GOP in leader as long as we can. That's my thoughts. That's, I'm not happy with anything he's doing. I just think that it's the wrong time. It's too close to an election.
It's the same thing with all of these. The time to impeach Mayorkas was not now. The time to impeach Mayorkas would have been January of 23, right after we did dominate the 22 election. The perfect time to impeach Mike Johnson would have been 8 months ago. Give him about 30 days in there, and the moment that
first time he did that bill, this is when he should have been gone.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a little late now.
Fast enough to make his head spin.
Yes.
So
we knew from the beginning, and the second time and the third time and the fourth time, so he's going to continue to play the game. They have something on him.
Well, Chuck Schumer, he's Chuck Schumer's boy because he's doing everything Chuck wants. Chuck even bragged about that on the floor.
Yep.
And was overheard bragging about it.
And while all that's going on, our favorite President Trump, how he just used the New York bodega visit to return to his form, smiling his ass off while everybody else is fighting.
Exactly. Chuck Schumer's over bragging about what he's gotten.
I know.
President Trump's going, hey, hold my beer, watch.
Hold my beer. And he's at day 3 of his trial is today. They're picking the jury still. So be watching about that. And President Trump, he'll come out and he'll talk to you when he's finished. So be listening for that. We're always watching President Trump. So that's President Trump watch. So we're going to move on to the D.C. National Guard whistleblowers. This is so important. I've got this from the Gateway Pundit, and they write their headline, Sedition, D.C. National Guard whistleblowers reveal Pentagon under direction of Mark Milley refused to deploy guard after 5 p.m., and Liz Cheney's committee never called them to testify. So here is one other.
Yeah, Gateway Pundit put this article out, and it says that as they previously had reported, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi and D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser were both warned about the security situation prior to January 6th, and both of them turned down National Guard troops at the U.S. Capitol that day.
Chris Wray's FBI also refused to notify the Trump administration and his cabinet secretaries that they believe there could be violence like the mass protest at the Capitol that took place that day.
Yeah, and then the most important part here, it says Nancy Pelosi also refused the National Guard at the U.S. Capitol that day due to politics. Even Capitol Police Chief Steve Sund said that he had asked House and security officials for permission to request that the D.C. National Guard be placed on standby in case he needed quick backup, but they both turned him down. And it says that she refused it for political reasons.
John Solomon from Just the News released an explosive report in 2022 that revealed Capitol Police were first warned about possible violence at the January 6th protests 2 weeks before the planned rallies. Solomon also goes on to say the DHS and District of Columbia were made aware of online threats of violence 2 weeks before the protests and rally. But during the testimony on Wednesday, Command Sergeant Major Michael E. Brooks got choked up as he testified that the Pentagon refused to send the D.C. Capitol Police to the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. The National Guard members waited for hours until 5:09 p.m. after the first violence was reported before the Pentagon gave them the order to deploy to the U.S. Capitol. The National Guard whistleblowers testified that the deployment of the National Guard members was delayed.
As the article says, for political reasons.
For political reasons.
Because why? Look at this. Nancy Pelosi wasn't concerned about the safety of the crowd. So what was her political reason then? The political reason was the fact that they knew if the National Guard was there, that the crowd control would be different and better.
Yes.
They knew
and it never would have happened.
They knew that nothing would have happened, and they could never have played this
any better than they did. They played it good. They played the American people. The media helped them. Liz Cheney and Nancy Pelosi, the January 6th committee, did not want these whistleblowers' testimony during their politicized investigation, and that's what we believe. We've seen this. We've seen this go on, and we're supposed to be fair to everyone in America. And the way they have treated these January 6 defendants and patriots is out of control. It's just out of control lawfare.
Yep.
It's pretty sad.
But let's go back to the reason of why the foreign aid bill matters so much. Let's go back to the reason of why the FISA bill mattered so much. We talked about this, and this is one of the biggest reasons that we need our border closed, and I believe this is one of the biggest reasons that they won't close our border.
That's it right here.
And this comes from News Nation. The headline reads, Cartels Recruiting Army Soldiers for Human Smuggling. The cartel are offering to pay soldiers $5,000 to smuggle migrants. And this happened. Here's kind of the story on how the Texas National Guard member got caught smuggling the other day. They offered him $5,000 to smuggle, and then he got popped at a Border Patrol pop-up site.
Yeah, checkpoint.
This article from News Nation, it says, Brandon Broadhead, 23, said he joined the military to help pay for his school after struggling with his studies during COVID. I was like, I've always heard that the military and or the Army will pay for your tuition. So I enlisted, he said. He said he had good intentions when he took an oath to protect and serve, inspired in part by his grandma. She always told me growing up to join, he said. But then a friend connected him with a low-level cartel member who promised him $5,000 in cash if he smuggled migrants who had crossed the southern border into Texas. He said his mom was sick and unable to work, so he said yeah. So Brandon Broadhead headed to Eagle Pass from Austin, where he picked up 2 migrants from Mexico, a woman and a man who said they were cousins. He made it to rural Kinney County, but was surprised by a pop-up tactical Border Patrol checkpoint. He turned around, which alerted the law enforcement. Broadhead said, I'm realizing I had a great life. Huge mistake. And the Kinney County Sheriff, Brad Coe, he offered his statement on this too, and he said it's a situation anybody might be lured toward. In quotes, he said, I mean, the talk of big money, plus they're away from home, plus the government knows what their bills are. They're being lured into this because of the promise of big money. If you think $5,000 cash for that dude to haul a couple of people across Mexico is big money, you don't know the half of it. The big money is in our government facilitating the trafficking of humans all over the world. This is why we need Speaker Johnson out. Is this thing working?
Rise up.
Well, hey, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you've learned some things about what's going on around us in the nation and in your communities. We couldn't do this without your continued support either. We appreciate all of you showing up, taking the time to listen to us today. So please, like I say, make sure to hit the like button, share our show with all your friends. We'll see you next time on Is This Thing Working? And as always, I'm James, and that's my lovely co-host over there,
Denise.
and we'll see you next time.
We're out.